rebuilding. The catastrophic failure, a new start. Physically, mentally, our careers, our businesses. Step back, first step, next step. The driver in me just wants to get it done tomorrow. We'll do this, do that, let's move this, where are we at with this? You build some confidence, build some self-esteem, start to feel better about yourself. The Silverback Blueprint Podcast, a show for men over 40. We focus on getting stronger, staying motivated, building discipline, creating a community, and becoming truly happy. Hey guys, welcome back to episode 66 of the Silverback Blueprint Podcast. Put yourself out there. One of the biggest things that people ask me about, or the question I run into a lot, especially when things are going well. No one ever asks you these questions when you're shitting the bed with the endeavors that you're doing. We're at a point with Hostile gear and Hostile conditioning where we're growing. We're getting some, a big step up in brand recognition. People see the now of that. We're recording this December 2017. This is coming out in January 20th, if my guess is right. I just asked Luke. Was it 20th? February 15th. I totally guessed that wrong. So like I said, sometime in early winter 2018, when this episode drops, we'll be at a point where we'll be 8+ years of Hostile conditioning and Hostile gear. And a lot of people don't remember or haven't seen the 6 years before, the 7 years before, the 6 weeks before. A lot of people see you the now, right? We only become aware of stuff suddenly, and then we're like, well, how long has that been there? I'm like, wow, that growth's been on your face since I've known you, but you're just seeing it now. At the end of the day, getting to that point where, and I'm not bragging, that's not what I'm here to do and stuff like that. I'm just really answering some of these comments that have come about. We've been running a lot of powerlifting meets, 2016, 2017, 100+ lifters. Everyone's excited, everyone's pumped. The gym it's a great facility and it's always getting better. It's growing. We have great members. A lot of great things are happening, but you're seeing the now, right? And to me, this is like still the beginning of the now. There's a lot more I want to achieve and keep going. But there was a point where I just decided to put myself out there. We've talked about it before when I had the Fitness Warehouse stores going and, we expanded and then we imploded and my health was shit and I was drinking and I was way overweight and I wasn't fit. I wasn't strong. I was broken on the inside, physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually. Everything imploded, man. It was tough waking up in the morning and getting out of bed and trudging to a store that was a fraction of the size it used to be and the shelves were empty. It looked like, the fucking food lineup in the 80s in a third world country and stuff. The shelves were bare. That was tough going. That really was tough going. And from there, Hostile started and something happened and I decided I wanted to get in better shape, started training using kettlebells, body weight exercise, and I just got a new inspiration and things started happening. So I was there for the whole thing. So I remember 8 years ago how Hostile started, and it started pretty meager, one class, 2 people, and just in a 1,500 square foot store. And now we're 8 years later, 13,000 square feet. We have hundreds of members. We have lots of stuff happening online. We have the Hostile gear brand. We run competitions. We have so much good stuff happening. But in between that, what happened? What caused it? And really, there was just a point in time where I just, picked myself up and I said, that's enough. And I put myself out there. I said, we're going to get into boot camp training, but we're going to do it differently. We're going to focus on the indoors. I said, we're going to do it for guys and girls over 40. And I said, we're going to do it using body weight and kettlebells and a little bit of barbells and stuff. Because for me, that's where I was seeing success mentally and physically as well. But I just really, at one point, just said, fuck it, this is what we're doing. And I put myself out there, right? And that's like the germination. That's the seed. That's where it all happened. But it took that realization, right? It's like the Big Bang Theory. There was nothing, and then all of a sudden there was something, right? And that really is, to me, that point where you have to just get to. You just have to have that sudden point of action right? This is what I'm going to do. I'm going to fucking do it. You have to completely be convicted of yourself of that, but then you got to put it out there and put yourself out there, right? And that means a social accountability. This is what we're doing. This is how we're going to do it, right? And you focus on what you do know, and you put faith in that the other stuff's going to work out, and it's going to evolve as you evolve. In fact, when Hostile first started, I talked about it as well. I didn't even have a name for it. I was using some CrossFit methods. I was doing kettlebell methods. I was doing body weight. I was doing some of the weight training methods. And, I had this guy, he kept asking me, well, what is this? What is this? What's going on? Is it this? Is it that? And I was looking, do I become a CrossFit? Do I become a kettlebell? I was looking at these different situations, and I realized that I liked a little bit of everything. And then I also had a ton of experience, 20 plus years of training at that point, training myself, training people in gyms and stuff, where I said, you know what? I'm just going to do it my way, my style, Hostile. Literally, that conversation went 1, 2, 3, and Hostile was born. But way before that, I had put myself out there. I said, this is what I'm going to do, right? In fact, there's an old commercial. We did a thing back in what the hell was it called? The local TV channel here. It was a new RO at one point, and then it became City TV, Ottawa, I don't know what it was. But they were doing this thing where for a few $100, you could get a little mini commercial, and they would do like Eye on Orleans, Eye on Springfield. You know what I mean? What's the guy from the helicopter on The Simpsons and stuff like that? Anyway, I can't remember his name, stuff like that. And this is the eye in the sky, that kind of thing. So it was one of those things. And I remember shooting a little commercial where they came in, and I had the little spot, and I had 5 clients. And while I was talking, and hey, this is Hostile Conditioning, and we're going to, help men and women over 40 years old, lose weight, get stronger and fit. I had my people running back and forth behind me with a prowler, and someone was doing clean and press with sandbags and stuff. And there I am, 345, 350 pounds overweight, telling to the world that I'm going to, run a boot camp company. In fact, I remember 2 specific individuals posting on Facebook, calling me out, saying, who is this guy? Who would ever train with this guy? Who would ever do this? He's overweight. He's this, he's that, and stuff like that. People I didn't even know, because I just put myself out there. Now, I'll tell you, that was pretty shitty for me to find out and hear and stuff like that. Even Kurt has feelings, but it also made me bear down and pull some of the, I'll show you motherfuckers what we're going to do and stuff. And I often say that, I'm 360 pounds now. I'm a power lifter. I'm competing stronger than ever and stuff. I got tons of muscle back and stuff, but I still have a gut on me, but I'm a shit ton fitter than I was 8 years ago, right? I don't have the same look that I had 8 years ago, right? That kind of stuff. I'm in a much better place physically, mentally, and emotionally, right? But at the same token, I still remember putting myself out there. In my mind, that switch saying, this is what I'm going to do. And then putting it out there, and then taking some slings and arrows from some douchebags out there, right? And at the end of the day, 9 years later, I know where I'm at, and I know where those 2 specific people are, and they're nowhere near doing what I'm doing, right? Again, I'm not bragging, but there's a point in time we have to sit back and realize what you've accomplished, right, overall. But that never would have happened if I didn't finally, at that one point, just literally stand up. No one's around, so it feels kind of goofy. Just stand up and say, hey, you know what? I'm doing this. And this is one thing I tell people. You know what? You do all this mental stuff, and you do all this preparation stuff, and you read all this motivational stuff, that kind of thing. But there's a point where you literally have to stand the fuck up and say to yourself, this is what I'm doing. And it's very important. I tell people, when you do this, you need to physically stand up, because that physical movement anchors that emotion. Right? It might feel goofy, fucking no one's around, but I'm going to stand up. But I mean, stand up and fucking say to yourself out loud, this is what I'm going to do, and I'm tired of not having what I want. Right? It's like, what's that movie, News Network, where the guy opens up the window and he goes, I'm mad as hell, and I'm not going to take it anymore. And then everyone was doing that and stuff like that, But literally, it takes that physical, mental, and everything to come together at one point to create that anchor to do it. And if you don't do that, guys, if you don't sit there and have that epiphany where you have that instance where you sit there and say, I'm doing this, you're going to struggle. You're going to struggle harder and longer, because you have to make that clear decision, that conscious decision, a physical and emotional decision to change the things that you want to change. Not everybody has 100 pounds to lose, right? Maybe you got a fucking shitty family life and you want to change that. That's your thing. Maybe you are broken physically and mentally and you need to fix that. Maybe you're a financial fucking wreck. It might mean you pulling out your wallet right now, cutting all your credit cards up, right? Getting on the phone and starting to fix these things financial and then put yourself on the budget. No matter what those things are, there has to be that one instance where you put yourself out there and say, I'm not doing this anymore, or I am going to do this going forward overall. And I think until you have that big bang, the sudden bang, that moment, right? And it has to be big. And the bigger it is, the more big, good English. The bigger it is, the more dramatic it is. I honestly believe the more effective it's going to be and the more successful you're going to be in it and stuff. And you might have to revisit that once in a while. You might have to come back to that once in a while. I kid you not. I took a couple of pictures of those Facebook posts, right? And I have them in my pictures and my files. And every once in a while, I go back to that. I go back to some shitty reviews I've got on websites where nothing but punitive, had nothing to do with anything and stuff. It was just someone being a shit, trying to, derail someone who was getting stuff done. And every once in a while, when I'm in a certain mood and I need that boost, and I need that, what I call the anger boost, old man anger, I go and I look at those things and I spend 5 or 10 minutes going through those screen captures, right? And I look at it and I'm like, all right, that's what I need. Let's go. Fired up. Let's get it done. Super powerful, guys. But it takes that point and it takes that conscious decision. You need to put yourself out there, and then you need to tell people this is what you're going to do. Because when you tell people you're going to do it, you make a social contract, right? And in doing that, you make yourself more accountable, because you don't want to be that person every time you run into the stand at the bar. He's like, hey, how's that going? And you're like, oh, yeah, I know I said I was going to do this, but, and then all the fucking excuses come out and stuff, right? No one wants to sit there and give all excuses. So you need to make enough of a social contract with enough people that they're going to hold you accountable. And don't do it with people in faraway lands and people that you run into every 6 years and stuff like that, right? Do it with key people that are going to see it and they're going to want to remind you and they're going to ask you about it, right? Set yourself up so that you have no choice but to follow through on the promise you just made to yourself, because we don't want to be in that position where we have to explain ourselves over and over again. It's not going to be easy, guys. If it was easy, we'd all be walking around with fucking abs and no shirts on. I've always said, I get to the point where I have abs, I'm never wearing a shirt again. I don't care how cold it is, what situation. I'm just never going to wear those cufflinks, the collar things, the wrist things, or the cufflinks, and that's it. And I'll be like, sir, you're in a grocery store. I know I'm in a grocery store, but I have abs. They'll be like, sorry, sir, you're right, you have abs. Please carry on, right? Guys, that's all I want to talk about for that on today. Listen, I want you to head on over to Hostile Gear. Use Silverback to save 20%. But we just came out with our new banner, our new Work Hard Motherfucker banner. So a phenomenal thing. 3 foot by 6 foot, black and yellow, badass. And it's going to look great behind your power rack in your gym. It's going to look great in your government office until they make you take it down or take you down. I don't know what it is and stuff. But a couple of people have been asking us about it. So they're available at hostilegear.com. And check it out. And if you guys buy it, turn around and take a picture of it and send it to me at kurthaas@gmail.com. Guys, head over to iTunes. Help us out with a review, 5-star review. Tell us what you like. Give us some feedback. And I'll talk to you guys later.